All right, 2026 Quilt Show, the Big South Fork 2026 Quilt Show in Oneida, Tennessee is just about at a close. As a matter of fact, we've had some quilts already taken down because I forgot to take this earlier. Our entry wall had been completely full of Quilts of Valor, but we had a Quilt of Valor presentation at 2. So a lot of those have already gone. But these are the ones actually that have been borrowed back from some veterans so that we could display them. And this one hasn't went to its veteran yet. It still needs quilted and binding. And we like this pattern. It's called For God and Country. But let's go on into the quilt room now. Here they're counting best of show or people's choice right now. This one has received a blue ribbon for its category, which is applique. It also received first place for the show, and it's looking pretty close in there right now. I'm looking that this may get people's choice as well. The applique work on this is absolutely phenomenal. And this quilt came to a lady that I've recently met who inherited 26 tubs of quilt blocks and quilting fabrics from her mother. And these blocks were there, and she has set them in and quilted and had this done in memory of her mother. It's a beautiful piece. It's called Stars in the Garden. It's phenomenal. We've got quite a bit tucked under. It's a very, very large quilt. This one has spoke to me this entire quilt show. I just think it is so pretty. It was from a kit, and the quilter put, I very seldom even consider a quilt a kit, but she said, I loved how this turned out. It's so beautiful. There's a reverend here in our county who had been a minister and a pastor of a church and had been in the ministry for close to 70 years by the time he passed. And there's 2 quilts here this year that are made from his neckties. What a wonderful, wonderful memorial. They were made for his son and a granddaughter, and they even brought us a picture of him in a pulpit. And with this was made, like I said, from his ties. I'm going to turn you into this cubby, and then we'll get the rest of that aisle. Now, our quilt show is unique. We take old quilts, new quilts, as long as they haven't been seen in our show prior, we take that quilt. So this is, if anyone remembers the Tri-Chem liquid ballpoint paints that was very, very common in the 70s. This has been done it came to us from the Senior Citizen Center. I think it was a project they worked on there as a group. And these blocks have all been painted with this. And then they did hand stitching around to make those pop out. Very beautiful quilt. Has the year that the state became a state, the number of what year it was in order, and then also the blocks. Let me see how far that goes. Hawaii is the last state that's at it right here, 50. So Alaska for 49, and Hawaii is on here as well, which would help date that quilt. An Orient Path, a wonderful little bow tie quilt. These have been donated, and we have a stash of them here. And we try to hand these out. They're fast and easily done, and a lot of people can work on these projects for these tie quilts. And these are handed out when there are fires or someone's home has been burnt out, and it's a way to get a piece of love to that family right away. Oh, a wonderful quilt, Tranquility. Man, isn't that beautiful? We love that. We'll finish this hallway up here. A nice little panel quilt with some fabulous big borders, and it shines so well in these lights. It's just effervescent. Look at that green. And another one with a panel center, and then a lot of piecework around it. Wonderful, wonderful job. This pattern is called Yellow Brick Road, and we have several different variations and color choices with that this year. It's been very popular. And we have this cactus log cabin done in different colorways, and This one was made in her husband's school colors. He works at the school systems, and that school's colors are red and gray. Beautiful quilt. So we'll go this way. A bow tie quilt, another bow tie that is also hand tied. We love this. A lot of quilt shows will not take the hand tied, but we are in the middle of Appalachia, and that hand tied is very reminiscent for us of our quilts that we had on our beds growing up. Before central heat and air became a thing in these mountains, you took any quilt you could get. And hand tying was a quick way to get a quilt on a bed and provide warmth for your loved one. Cute little hand quilt. I think this was this girl's one of her first quilts. It was a gift for a young boy in the family. And this is homespun, and when they hung it, they showed this size, which is beautiful, but it is actually a rag quilt. And I'll turn that back and let you see. Quilts don't have to be just fancy and custom long arming to be beautiful and be meaningful to your family. I just think that's adorable. I love that quilt. And this one here, beautiful sampler quilt. I believe that may have been a mystery quilt that she was working on. This one is an older quilt, but man, it is wonderful. I love this. Of course, this is hand appliqued on, but look at the fussy cutting on. I hadn't even seen the cornerstones. What an absolute joyful quilt. And that fussy cutting is incredible. Every piece on it has been fussy cut in here. What a work of joy and love. Some hand embroidery on a baby quilt. We had a lot of baby quilts this year. It was wonderful to see them. I know whenever I make a baby quilt, especially if the mother is still expecting, you think about them and, oh, the hopes you have for those children. Look at this, some more hand embroidery. Little girls. And this lady self-drafts her blocks. I cheat and copy them off of a coloring book page or a pattern, but she does self-draft her pictures. Wonderful little show. Another pretty little baby quilt. And this sweet little one called Spring Blossoms. Oh, this next one, I think a lot of you are going to recognize. A wonderful job. And it is an Eleanor Burns quilt called Fabulous 50s. A very large quilt. Beautiful quilt. Okay, more hand embroidery. I was amazed at these. I truly thought they had been machine stitched, but they have not. That is hand stitching. I don't think I've ever seen hand stitching that dense before. Amazing. And another cute little baby blanket. Like I said, we had a lot of hand embroidery this year and a lot of baby quilts. Here's another one. She said this was one of her first attempts at quilting on a domestic machine, but she does have a hand embroidered Mickey and Minnie in the center and used up a lot of jelly roll pieces, didn't she? And a very cute little puppy dog quilt. And this fabric has been around forever. You can still purchase it. But I thought that was one of the prettiest little ways I've ever seen it set, with that simple little 4-patch. And then she has done, is that flange? No, it is a tiny little inner border. And then pulling all of the colors here, and then this paw print. How cute is that? I'm sure her grandson loves that quilt. Oh, and a second little tiny box. There's some love in there. Look at that second little black border. Fabulous. Another embroidered quilt, cross stitch, another baby blanket. And Explosion is the name of this pattern. Isn't that pretty? This piece, I counted 13 borders. I'm upset if I end up having to put 2 or 3 on one. But 13 borders on here, and it started out with a panel in the middle that she's done some detailed and quilting on to make different aspects pop over there. And she has embellished it with some machine embroidery with these giant snowflakes carrying throughout the quilt, and she had made it for a friend of the family. Now this quilt was completely reversible, so it has a completely different center on the back piece. Still Christmas, but different. Very nice. Oh, we have some slow stitching, which is all the rage right now, right? If you're on YouTube, you've probably seen a lot of the Kiwandi inspired slow stitching. This one has had people looking all day long. We always do a scavenger hunt, and these 3 blue cats were part of that, and they were hard for people to find. Beautiful piece. Another panel quilt, an eagle in flight. All of the men that came through the day, I all heard them talk about that eagle. And this one, of course, they loved this one. The same lady did these with this embroidered old antique cars and trucks. And she shared with me that as she finished a block, she couldn't start another block unless her husband was home. He picked the colors for every thread in that quilt on every single vehicle. An older quilt has a lot of history tied to this county. I've not seen that exact pattern for that doll before. If you've seen it, let me know in the comments and share that pattern if you have it or know where it can be found. But during the 90s, this county has a factory that sews predominantly military contracts, and there was a freeze on all of those contracts. And so it was a very large workforce of women, at one point up to 1,000 employees, and they didn't want to just lay everyone off and send them home. So they were able to retool the plant during that time and work on commercial contracts for bed fashioning. And the leftover fabrics, they would sell those fabrics at a store in Oneida as an outlet store, and people would get an entire comforter shell for $2. And this was one of the shells and fabrics that came from that. I recognized that immediately when I saw it. So what a wonderful little quilt that ties directly to the history of our location. Another cactus in the cabin. We had the red and the gray at the front of the room, and here we've got this in this beautiful blues. Doesn't that show up so wonderful? Beautiful quilt. I think this one was picked out for a grandson, and the granddaughter picked the colors, and when it was about halfway done, she claimed it as her own. He never did get it. A second quilt had to be made. A wonderful little double wedding ring. The piecing on this is incredible. It almost looks like a panel if you just stand back from it. It looks like it's printed, but it is hand pieced, hand embroidered, every stitch on it by hand to include the binding. What an absolute wonderful quilt, and a very, very old pattern in the quilting world. Absolutely wonderful. Another little baby's quilt. And a Snoopy. I'll let you get closer with those black cornerstones. This was the young woman who did this. Her category is adult beginner. That was her first pieced quilt. So I think she did an excellent job, don't you? Jelly roll race with the little blocks in between the strips. Very cute. All right, we'll come down this aisle. Some small pieces, a string quilt. I love a string block. Another Kiwandi piece. And here's a panel that's been worked these stars through the border. Several borders, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. One of them containing those pieced stars around this wolf and the moon. Wonderful quilt. She made that for her adult son and borrowed it back for the show. Another raggy quilt. Again, some people may see this and say, why do they take those raggy quilts? Because, like I said, that's something that this area we saw quite a bit of, and we are proud of that heritage and of this hillbilly land. One of her very first quilts she ever made for this lady. So pretty. And another one of the charity quilts that'll go to a family from a burnout or something such as that. We also supply some charity quilts that go to where we have a stack in the back now to take to the foster care office. And when they have children that they're placing, that they can gift them a handmade quilt to take with them and feel the love. Have something that's theirs that they take. A friend made this. This was her first and only quilt, but she made it when her daughter was small. Butterflies and dragonflies. A lot of embroidery embellishment on this one. And then pieced together. Spring blooms. And some more of the Kawandi inspired slow stitching. Very nice. The lady bought this as a layer cake, and she put this quilt together, drafted her pattern, and thought I think it would have looked amazing as it was, but she found it very dull. So she went back with these bumblebees that are inside the fabrics themselves and appliqued some bumblebees right onto the outside. How cute. Well, we saw up there the states with some birds, but here's the birds as well. Again, in a very older quilt. The woman inherited the blocks. All of them weren't finished. And if you look closely and know, you can find the different hands. This was the original stitching. And then some of the blocks that she added. And you can see the difference in the styles and the weight of the threads. She added quite a bit more color to the blocks that she did versus some of the original blocks. It's a beautiful, beautiful quilt. A lot of love. Oh, and here's our first place winner for our youth under 18 category. Isn't that fabulous? Let me see if I can get a better view of that. But she won that. First place in the youth under 18. Her first completed quilt. She did most of this on her own. Her grandmother did help her with some of the borders and of course with the long arming. Wonderful quilt. A raggy rug quilt, a teddy bear. Oh, and a very intricately pieced Smokey the Bear, because we are in UT Vol country. Or Smokey the Bear, Smokey the dog, excuse me. Because that is our mascot at UT. She even has an embellished UT for UT Vols. I love this quilt. The two horses, the two boys on the horse represent a local farmer who recently passed and his younger brother when they were boys. And this family was known for their love of horses on that farm. Before he passed, his niece had made this for her, and she saw that panel and got it, and she created this block here to go into the piecing. So that was her work. Her mother, while going through her mother's stuff after her passing, as most quilters do, had a lot of orphan blocks. This block was her mother's, as they made a quilt for her two brothers, the mother's brothers. And here in the corner is the most precious part. A block that was cut from a quilt that was mother to the two boys, to the woman who made the center, and grandmother to one who made this one. So there's 3 generations of women over many decades represented in that quilt piece. Isn't that phenomenal? What a wonderful, wonderful heirloom piece. From a panel. And I know a lot of people don't like panels. Wonderful art piece. Is this not phenomenal? Madonna and Child. She said it took her 25 years to work on that. And she said that was just fine because most of the time when she laid it away for years, it was because she was working with her own children, and that she was being the Madonna and the mother within her family. I just love this. It's got a technique where they've fused every piece. Every piece has been fused and added or manipulated and sewn down, beading work, ribbon work. A lot of hidden surprises. In the heart of the Madonna, she's put a picture of her own actual mother and placed her siblings' pictures in the eyes of the mother, because we're always trying to watch out for our babies, aren't we? Another beautiful quilt that shows so well, flower chain. I've heard a lot of people stop and comment during the show about this one. And as well with our traditional log cabin, always a favorite. This one was created by a friend of mine and was a gift to her niece. She doesn't make baby blankets. She doesn't make baby quilts. She said she started out that way, but when they got older, they wanted to quilt. So right from the beginning, they get a big quilt. This is so heavy. I do not know what it is lined with. It is a very heavy quilt, again with that simple tying. Another show favorite has been Harry Potter. Oh. She said she had so much trouble trying to find all of the different Harry Potter blocks that she could to put into this quilt. Also, a fairly new quilter. She's probably only quilted about 2 years when she made this. I thought she was a massive project to undertake, and I think she did a wonderful job. Another one of the tie quilts done in a different colorway from the same pastor, Reverend that I showed you earlier. A lot of people spent a lot of time in front of this one this weekend. They really enjoyed looking at the piecing and the colors within these blocks. It was a block of the month, a sew-along that this woman had done. I think this is an adorable little baby blanket. It's one of my favorites. The colors just make me happy. And another embroidered, a little boy fishing. Oh, and a friendship mystery quilt. This quilt started a whole new quilting club here in the community, and they won't let me come play. I've been teasing them about that. They're all employees or retired employees of the same company, and they use that facility, so it's a closed group. A small little cathedral squares at the bottom, some more of the Kawandi, and a yellow brick road done in Christmas prints. Oh, how adorable. We almost have this lady talked into teaching us this quilt in a little fall class. Most of us have done rag quilts, but what a fun quilt to do as a group and to teach maybe a few people who haven't yet. Some blocks that have been pieced together. This one is hard for me to see. Another little cathedral quilt. The lady who made this and the other one made them in memory of her mother, because her mother was working on a large cathedral quilt when she passed. And then this Star Bright. Wonderful, wonderful pieces. And that has us all the way back to the beginning where we came in the door with our Best of Show quilt, Star in a Garden. I hope you've enjoyed that walkthrough. Tried to go a little slower than the last couple years, but thank you very much. And if you're ever in Oneida, check us out in May for our quilt show. Goodbye.